welcome back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
And remember, our goal is always to guide you to personal and financial wellness.
Happy holidays again from Don Gatling and Gino Fronte, and happy Saturday. Hopefully you've caught us at the right time before you go shopping, because every Saturday.
It's coming down to the wire right now, isn't it?
That's right. Every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., you get to hear what you need to know, should know about real estate, finance, and so much more. We've been doing this for 8 years now with the very best professional we can have. First half of the show, we had a good friend of ours, Greg Seamus, with blinds and shutters of all kinds.
All right.
I have to get used to that, and it sounds like, why is this so? He was vertical factor forever, but vertical blinds, yeah, that's an option still, but he's got so much, and everything's motorized now. You can black out your room. Motorized shutters? How cool is that? I have shutters and they're a pain in the butt. I wish they were motorized.
Yeah.
So everything, so blinds and shutters of all kinds.
On Lyons Avenue.
On Lyons Avenue, they have a showroom floor. He was great. And then the second half of the show is probably something that's going to be so relevant to many of you. And if it's not you, I guarantee it's somebody you know that has a child that is wanting to go to college or planning to go to college, and they don't know what college to go to, how to get in that college, or how to pay for that college. So we brought our guru in that's been on our show dozens and dozens of times. We've done actually speaking events with him. He is a guru in all aspects, and he always brings tangible information to us about what to expect or how to apply, what's the timing. Today is really fun because we're going over perception versus reality, then versus now. We're talking USC, Stanford, I think, UCLA,
Never heard
10
of them.
years ago versus now.
Right.
That's pretty cool, dude.
It's an opportunity to kind of flash back and see where we've come from and where we are today, and more importantly, kind of wrap our heads around what's really going on versus our perception of what's really going on.
So we talked about this once before, and it was
Wait, I forgot to introduce him.
Yeah, people know who Rob is. Come on.
Rob Schwartz with Premier College Guidance. Just letting you know. I just want to make sure they're like...
That's cool.
Because not everybody's listening to our show all the time.
They haven't?
No.
Oh, shame on them.
Yeah. Shame on him.
Anyways, we've talked about this once before, and there's this natural disconnect where parents that went to college think they're the experts. They went to college, they graduated from college, they know everything about college. Well, they're 20 years
ago.
detached,
Right.
if not more.
Yeah.
Sometimes 25 years detached.
That's right.
These days. When their kids now are going into college later and later and later, it seems like. It seems like people got this gap out of high school and then they go to college.
Well, it
or
totally
they go to a
changes.
junior college for a little while, and it's still 25 years. Or
Hey, there's a myriad of ways to solve this problem, but for the traditional family, the traditional student, the one who says, I'm going to graduate from high school and I'm going to start college. I mean, that's the parent's dream is, I'm going to get them out of the house, I'm going to get them into college, they're going to be educated, they're going to come out the other side, they're going to have a great job.
And that happens all the time, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Even in a booming economy, it doesn't happen for as many as you would believe, especially for this generation, especially when we start talking about things like student loan debt. That number has crept up and up and up and up. It's now approaching $1.5 trillion.
I think it's only second to mortgage debt. I think it's surpassed credit card debt, which is pretty astounding.
About 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's, just every year it's just tacked on a little bit more and a little bit more, and it's a snowball effect, and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
Okay, so let's talk about one of the reasons that that's happened. For many, many years, 20 years, 30 years, I don't know what it was, interest rates for student loans were subsidized by the federal government, and you could get a Sallie Mae student loan for 2.99%. Forever. And when that went away, those subsidies went away not too long ago. Now the average interest rate on a student loan is what? I don't know. You tell me. 6?
Well, it's
7?
It's not quite that high, but we've seen them as high as 6.5.
Okay.
I mean, that's base model, 6.5%, which frankly is highway robbery.
Very different than 2.99.
Very, very different. But it's quantified by if I'm borrowing $5,000 or I'm borrowing $50,000. There's a huge difference there.
Now tell me though why you think that's highway robbery. To me, 6.5% money is still inexpensive considering the global economic history of
Because you're
interest rates.
talking about asking an 18, 19, 20-year-old student to borrow that money.
Okay, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
They're also going to give those people credit cards at 20%.
Right.
So
But they're not going to
they're
give. But they're
not
not giving them a
using it for school.
$50,000 credit card.
no.
They're getting a
Hopefully not.
$500
And I get
credit
your
card.
relevance. You're saying, okay, let's just say 15, 20 years ago, when the parents went to school, they can get in and out of college for, would you say, for round numbers, 50 grand. That same 50 grand is now 250 grand to get through the same college.
I wouldn't say
potentially.
it's quite that exaggerated, but I would certainly say what was a $20,000 average loan is now $50,000. And that difference is monumental when you then think that that person who borrowed $20,000 20 years ago, by and large, was able to secure a good job when they got out of college or within a year of getting out of college. That is now much more difficult.
I think that's probably the key, is that there was, and I don't know why this happens. There's like a herd mentality, right? So the other day I was looking around at the friends that I have that have graduated college. Why the hell are they all attorneys? Like
a good question.
all of them. Like I look at it, it's like, why is 35% of my friends attorneys? You know, and that just had to do with when we all graduated. And then you look at, different fields. Now everybody's in nursing. Everybody's in nursing.
For a while there was engineering. I mean, it's just
still
rotated.
engineering a little
Still
bit.
engineering.
Well, yeah. Well, in fact, you remember we just went over the fact that you talk about the job, the potential of getting a job. Right now in our industry, the millennials are finally starting to get into home ownership, but they're almost 10 years behind because when they came out during probably the worst time ever. One, they had a tremendous amount of debt, higher than ever,
Right.
school debt, and then they couldn't get a job because there
They
wasn't
couldn't get
any
good
job.
jobs.
Couldn't get good jobs.
Even if they got jobs, they weren't good jobs. They weren't good paying jobs.
So put them well behind the 8 ball to be able to get into home ownership.
You're going to
100%
appreciate
agree.
this. We saw an article the other day that touched on this, and it was written by a millennial that says, hey, we're not trying to break with tradition. We're just broke.
That's fair. It's fair.
Never
I've
thought
seen
of it that way, but you're like, okay,
I've seen it
that makes sense.
firsthand. I understand it. I get it. The better question now is, can we do anything about it? For that generation, they're going to play behind for another 10 years. And it's not fair, but it is the reality. From my perspective, and really what I wanted to come and share with you guys today is from the perspective of the parent who's seen that happen, maybe with an older child, or they watched and missed a generation, and now they're seeing their child come through and, hey, we're going to get them into the best schools, and that's what's going to make sure that they're taken care of and they're going to get the best jobs. Let's go back and look at some of this data and see what's really going on. So let me give you those 3 examples we started with. Stanford, USC, UCLA. Probably the 3 best-known schools in the state of California.
Right.
Yeah.
Berkeley, I apologize.
I knew it's coming.
10 years ago, Stanford's admission rate was about 12%. So somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 out of every 8 geniuses was admitted. You go, wow,
Literally
that's
like top of the line.
Yeah,
Brilliant,
first of all,
brilliant
if you're
kids.
applying to Stanford, you already think you're smart.
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, undoubtedly true.
Yeah.
So 1 in 8 sounds, well, that's kind of rough, right?
Yeah.
What about last year? 4.8%.
Oh no.
So now we're somewhere between 1
One
and
out
1 out of
20.
20 and 1 out of 21.
Ugh.
So even though those numbers aren't that far apart,
And that's just those
they
who
are.
applied.
It's just the population that's applying. And it's saying, wow, it's borderline lottery system at Stanford. Now, I assure you, no, it's not a lottery system. No one is drawing a circle in front of the admission office and
With a
taking all the
dartboard.
applications up to the roof and throwing them off. And if it lands in the circle, you're admitted. That's not how this
ball
works.
they're rolling going, number 26.
No, not doing that. No bingo, none of that. USC 10 years ago was admitting nearly 22% of the students who applied. So
That's
some
what
are,
we used to say, pay to play.
1 out of 5.
well, at USC we waived their keys. We did that, sure. We still do. But it's a very different population then and now. Now it's 12.8%. So you think it's almost half in terms of that
You're
school.
talking about a very expensive private school.
A very expensive private school, which is one of the 5 most expensive schools in the United States currently.
Wow.
If you just look at the sticker price, that's not always the right way of looking at it.
Which
but in
you've
terms
informed us.
I have
Be
told you
careful
many
of the
times.
sticker price.
That's right. For a low-income family, if you disregard a school like USC because you see the sticker price, you are making a big mistake. They have enough in their pockets to help you. Now, if you're
Potentially.
upper middle income, might not be the best target. UCLA, my alma mater, 10 years ago, admitted 24% of the applicant pool. Almost 1 in
man.
4.
That's pretty good.
Now it's 14%. So again,
Cut
it's
it in
only
half.
10% difference. 1 in 4 versus 1 in 7. That's a huge difference. And you're also talking about simultaneously, in that 10 years, the number of students who go to the school has increased by 25%, meaning they've opened more seats and more housing, and yet still the admission percentage has dropped precipitously. So the message to you parents is real simple. Be aware of what's really going on versus what you perceive as what's going on.
All right, so we're going to go to our last, always good stuff with Robert Schwartz with Premier College Guidance. We have another segment with Rob. And Rob, I know what's nice is you always are really good about enlightening parents and grandparents about the opportunities or things to think of that they normally wouldn't, because there's traditional ways that they already have envisioned in their head, and you always enlighten us. So we got another segment with you. I look forward to you continuing to enlighten our parents and grandparents and students, because a lot of them make their own decisions. When we come back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show, don't go away. Last segment's always the best.